the classes. Classes are used to organize the code or to group functions and variables. We will talk about that later in the video. We are going to start by writing class simply outside the int main function, and then we will name it. So we are doing classes for the students. So we've made this is the class. We can write class, and now what we are going to do is we are going to make variables. These variables are also known as attributes. So we are going to write string name student, and as you can see, we've made this class, so we have this simple structure of class. Now we are going to write its attributes. Its attributes will be its characteristics, you can see. So student has name. We are going to make string name. Student has course name. So student can be doing computer science, student could be doing software engineering, etc, etc. Now we are going to type int student ID. So you can make different variables which will be its characteristics. If you are doing regarding the student, you can have name, course name, student ID, or any other that you can think, but we are just going to talk about these three mainly. If we were doing, let's say, teacher can have different. Teacher can have name, teacher can have teaching subject, teacher can have basically different characteristics. You can make this class can be laptop, and laptop can have an object such as Samsung laptop, Acer laptop, etc. So now we are going to go down here in the int main function, and now we are going to make an object. So in a total, we often call it classes and object. Classes and objects. This is the class that we have already done it, and now we are going to make an object. So we are going to simply write the name of our class, which is student. So we can write student, and then we are going to name the object now. So we can have student1 and simply put semicolon at the end of it. So this is our object. That is our class, and that is our object. Now we can assign these string course name and student ID. However, it's not going to work. So when we are going to assign in the int main function, what we are going to do is we are going to take its name. So we are going to take an object's name, which is this one, and this is our class name. So we are going to take our object's name, student1, and simply we are going to put dot at the end. It should show name, course name, and student. Right now, as you can see, it does not show. There are errors. That's because we have not done the access modifiers. Access modifiers are basically there are 3 access modifiers, which basically means which define your access to these variables. So we can have the default access modifier is private, which basically means these variables string course name, int cannot be accessed from outside. So whether it's inherited class, inheritance, or whether it's int main, it cannot be accessed. So we can simply, in order to assign, we type private and then we put 2 comma at the end. Now this will still not work. If we were to run it, student1, and it still does not work, because that's what the default access modifier is. Whoa. And then there's a protected modifier. So you can simply type protected, and this modifier is basically used to access the class. With this access modifier is used to access the class from the inherited class. So you can inherit class as well. Right now we have student. We can also inherit this class into another class. That's something that we are going to talk about later. So what we want to do is we want to do the public. So we want to access our variables, which is string and then int, from the int main. So we are going to write public. This is our access modifier. And now what we see is we will write student1, put the dot in, and what we can see is we have name, course name, and student ID, and they are coming up. So we are going to first of all assign student name. We will type on student name and simply just assign the way we assign our string. So we can type Tom, and then we will assign student1 course name, which will be computer science, and then we will assign student ID, which we can do 1 2 3 4 5. So now we have student name, student course name, and student ID assigned to student1. If we want to output this, we will do simple cout student name, cout student ID, cout student just so we can put endl here. So we have now three. What we are doing is we've made our object. This was our object number 1, which was student1, and we have the details, name, course name, and student ID of student1. And this is where we are basically outputting our data. We can run this and see what we get. So as you can see, we get Tom, we get student. We were just to put done a little mistake. We can put course name and then student ID. We will run it again, and as you can see, we have name, we have computer science, and then we have 1 2 3. Now we don't need to make other variables or another class to make another object. For example, we can simply once again assign student. So this is our class. Then what we're going to do is we're going to write student2. So now we have second student, and this is object. So we have second object for second student, and now we can simply copy this, paste it here, change this to 2, and we can simply change name of this to so now as you can see, we have two different objects. So we have student1 here, and then we have student2. We didn't need to make all the other variables and another class for another object. So we have just one class, and then we are managing this thing. We don't need to make other variables or other class. We just have two objects. We will try running it, and what we get is we get two different students. We can just simply put cout and this is just to put the space between them. So right now we get first student and we get a second student. So this is how the classes are used. So you can group up the functions as well. Right now we've just talked about the basics of classes, in which basically we've talked about how can you make the class, what is access modifier, and then we've made one object, and then we've just shown you, and we've just made two objects to show you how do they work. You can go for third one as well. So now we are going to make the third object, with different details. So that's how you can sum up, that's how you can group and organize your code. And then we have different code. So right now you can see we have 3 different students. There's one object that we have here, which is first student. This is the second student, and then this is the third student that we have. And if we were to output the details, we get all 3 different students. So you see, we didn't need to make other variables, we didn't need to make other classes. The only thing you need to remember, when you make a class, you'll give it a name. You can name it anything, and then here you name the class. This is your class name, and then this is going to be object. Object could be something like, if there are laptops, so if the class is laptop, the object could be Samsung, Acer, or all the other different computer brands, laptop brands. If you have car, car is your class, and then the brand could be, then you can have different brands, Fiat and Audis and BMWs, etc. The main purpose of class and object is to basically sum up the, so you can look at the class as if it's a category, and then there are different things in the specific category. So you can have a car, if your class is car, you can have Audi, BMW, and etc, etc. I hope you understood this.